challenging. And I would also like to add, I don't know how many will agree to this, with all due respects to our Indian consumer, it's always like onion. The more you peel, the more layers you find, and the more new type of customers we find. Do we agree with this evening? Anybody to agree with that? Yes, I see some nods to that. Also to call upon, say, the first panelist, I repeat again, Mr. Sanjay Gupta, Managing Director, PNB Housing Finance Limited. Let's give him a big round of applause and please welcome him on stage. He just presented us the group address. Next to please call upon stage, Mr. Satish BN, Executive Director, Knight Frank, Mr. Satish BN. With the core function of expanding and managing operations of all business lines, enhancing brand image of South India and leading to make the firm best in largest property consultancy in India, Mr. Satish BN, Executive Director, Knight Frank. The next person to call upon stage, Mr. Dinesh Kumar, a Business Head, South, 99 Acres. Let's welcome him with a big round of applause. He's in charge of developing and driving sales strategies for the business of 99 Acres. Next, let me call upon stage Mr. Sailesh Siroya, MD Siroya Constructions. With a big round of applause for Mr. Sailesh Siroya. The Siroya Group has remarkable experience in real estate development across India, UAE, Kuwait, and also Saudi Arabia. Last but not the least, the most important person of the night is the moderator. Let me call upon stage Mr. Manoj Lodha again, President NAREDCO Karnataka, who's also the Managing Director of Yes Developers and the founding member of NAREDCO Karnataka Chapter. Mr. Manoj, the stage is all yours.
We've all gathered here in the backdrop of the pro forma budget being announced by the government in February, and then in which few tax ups were proposed for the real estate sector, and we also have the RERA bill, the most talked about, debated, discussed. So affordable housing has a lot of shops being rolled out in the budget this year, and all the developers and builders are more than keen to launch their affordable projects to enjoy the benefits what the budget has rolled out for them. So if you can start with Mr. Satish, the budget, sir, we had some proposals in the budget for the real estate sector, specifically affordable housing. If you can throw some light, and so that we can start from there.
Thanks, Manoj. I think you explained affordable housing pretty quickly. I'm sure people are very eager to pick up their trophies, presentations for the worth what they've put in this beautiful city. Affordable housing, there are advantages and a bit of gaps as well on what has been announced by the government. So anything between 350 to 550 square feet, when builders launch these kind of projects, what kind of benefits they get? I think they get around 100% tax benefit. Service tax is exempted, and that's from the supply side. From the home buyer side, what they get is they get that 50,000 exemption on the interest, right, for a 35 lakh rupees loan, and for a budget of around 50 lakh rupees. And that's the best thing which I can start with.
Now, coming to you, Mr. Sailesh, you are into luxury homes. Affordable housing is something you want to get into, I assume. What are the challenges here, sir?
In terms of affordable housing, if you ask me, the biggest challenge is making the affordable housing available in the center of the city. And their land is a constraint. So invariably, affordable housing has to tend to move out of the city limits to a certain level. But all said and done, there's scope, overall income, in terms, if the government were to modify the rules and regulations in terms of the development allowed, in terms of the density, if they can enhance the FAR ratios, that can bring in a lot of supply into the city side.
So as far as the bank is concerned, sir, what is your experience with the developers? Because there's easy access to loans for the consumer, but the access to capital for a developer just doesn't exist. What is your experience?
I would put it the other way around. The debt or the capital for affordable housing to the developer is available. It is at times to the end consumer that the problem occurs, because sometimes the customer base is of assessed income or not formal income. And that is where, in the last 10 years, what we have seen that very specialized housing finance companies have come up, and these are basically regional companies, and they have expertise in would say, appraising assessed incomes or informal incomes. And they are being able to give housing loans to this segment of the society pretty successfully. And their portfolios also perform very well. Now, coming to the debt or the capital to the developers, I mean, at least we don't make a differential sort of pricing or, I mean, our parameters to judge a project viability is not very different than a mid-segment or a luxury segment project. So I don't think debt availability to the developer is a constraining factor.
The moderators back on stage. I would request Mr. Ashish Mathur, the COO of Exhibitor Asia, to please come up on stage, and also the panelists, all the panelists in fact, Mr. Sanjay Gupta, Mr. Satish BN, Mr. Dinesh Kumar and Mr. Sailesh Urojo. Please join us on stage. We have a small token of appreciation. Ladies and gentlemen,
real estate contributes 9% of the GDP,
nights
and this is a very serious business. Anybody and everybody should not be in real estate.
To start off with the first
deliverables
category
are
of
something which is aspirational. Customer invests all his hard-earned money, all his
I would
salary, he's
request
putting into a
Mr.
house.
Saji Varghese,
And if the
business
person
head,
who's building that
PNB
house is
Housing
not good
Finance
enough, then he's better not be in